Day 9. Today's reading is from the book Genesis, chapter 37, verse 3 to 4, and chapter 50, verse 15 to 17, and 19 to 20. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day, Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. Now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers became fearful. Now Joseph will show his anger and pay us back for all the wrong we did to him, they said. So they sent this message to Joseph. Before your father died, he instructed us to say to you, "Please forgive your brothers for the great wrong they did to you, for their sin in treating you so cruelly. So we, the servants of the God of your father, beg you to forgive our sin." Joseph replied, "Don't be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good." This family tree kept growing like the biggest Christmas tree where we find the greatest gift. Adam had a baby named Seth, and Seth had a many great-grandson named Noah. And Noah had a son named Shem, who had a many great-grandson named Abraham, who had a son named Isaac, who had a son named Jacob, who had 12 strapping sons, including one of the littlest one who was named Joseph. Jacob decked out his boy Joseph in a colorful coat that looked like a present wrapped up with 1,000 different ribbons. When Joseph spun around in the robe, he looked like a spinning globe, all lit up with colored lights. Joseph's brothers didn't like this. They didn't like Joseph spinning around in his colorful coat from their dad. So they schemed up a plan to whistle him out of his coat and then right out of the family. They tore the coat off Joseph, dipped his fraying ham in some blood, sold their little brother to total strangers who just happened to be wandering by, and then went home and showed the torn and bloody coat to their dad. The whole mess tore out their father's heart. Messes and mean things can do that. Some days when you feel brave, you can give yourself a gift and tell someone what has torn your heart. Some days when you feel brave, it's almost like you can reach through the pieces where your heart feels torn and touch the gentle peace of God. Joseph, sold into Egypt by his very own brothers to be a slave, sold to strangers far away from the hug of his very own father. He got brave one day when he was in that land far away from his father's arms. It was like he felt along the torn edges of his heart, and he whispered the truth he saw. What someone else meant for bad, God means to make it good. No matter what tries to tear you apart, God holds your heart. No matter what bad was meant to harm you, God's good arms have you. You can stand around your Christmas tree with a family tree as messy as Joseph's, with cheaters and beaters and deceivers, with a family like Jacob's, who ran away and ran around and ran folks down. But out of a family that felt just like a mess, God brought Jesus, the Messiah. Many years later, after Joseph gave his starving brothers food, and they realized who this generous man really was, Joseph embraced each of his brothers with forgiveness. God always brings good out of bad. God always turns hard things into good gifts. One day, Jacob's many great-grandson would be born in a manger and wrapped in rags by his earthly dad, and he would grow up to be sold by his friends and torn apart on a cross. And God would take that greatest sadness and make it into the gladness of the greatest gift for us. Jesus embraces us with forgiveness and rescues us from all the sin and sadness. God always takes crosses and turns them into gifts. All the world robed for Christmas. We're loved by our Father. We who all spin around in the lit colors everywhere.